Hey there, high level listeners. Welcome back to another episode of our English vocabulary podcast here on High Level Listening, where we bring you side by side American and British English to help take your English to the next level. Today, we're going to talk about different gadgets, appliances, and technology that you have in your home, all in high level English.
Yes, that's right. Welcome everybody to another vocabulary class. And just as Kat said, we're going to share lots of commonly used phrases and expressions about gadgets that you may not know. By gadgets, we mean little appliances or pieces of technology that help you, whether that's with cleaning, working, or just relaxing. And these things are usually found at home or in the workplace.
So, like always, we'll teach you about gadgets by reading out a short script each. The first one about the gadgets I have in American English, then Mark will talk more about his tech in British English. Afterwards, we'll go back through the scripts once again, line by line, to explain all the best vocabulary and phrases we think you should know to understand and talk about technology better than ever before.
Okay, so Kat will go first. The question for her today is, do you have lots of gadgets in your home?
Oh, definitely. I have tons of little gadgets at my house. Some of my favorites, oh, well, of course, my smartwatch is probably my most used gadget. It's synced with my phone, so I can check notifications, track my fitness, and even control playlists or respond to messages without having to grab my phone. I've got it hooked up to a bunch of apps, and it helps keep me on track throughout the day. I also have a walking pad, which is like a compact treadmill that fits under my desk. I can walk when I'm doing admin or while watching a show, which makes me feel more productive and helps me hit my daily step goal that I track from my smartwatch. And then there's my Alexa speaker. Honestly, it was weird at first talking to a gadget and giving it all these voice commands, but now I talk to it all the time to turn on the lights, play music, or set timers. Almost all of these things I started to use out of pure convenience, but now I can't imagine living without them. All right, now let me ask Mark the same question. Do you have a lot of gadgets at your house, Mark?
Wouldn't call myself tech savvy, but when I think about it, I do have quite a few gadgets around the house. I recently caved in and got myself a tablet, and now it's become my go-to device for just about everything. Emails, work, videos, messaging too. I'm really happy with it. I've also got some of those smart plugs hooked up to almost every room. And when you pair them with the app, it's amazing what it can do. I've got it set up so the lights come on just as I come home and the kettle starts boiling when I wake up. It's a game changer. It's one of those things you don't know how you ever lived without. During COVID, I also bought one of those automatic vacuums, and I use that more often than I thought I would. It's not perfect. It misses the odd corner, but it's really handy, and it's probably saved me hours of hoovering. So overall, I think I've got quite a nice range of nifty little gadgets. Okay, so we've both shared our scripts and our experiences with gadgets at home. Don't worry if you didn't catch everything the first time. We always have captions for you during every episode, but if you want to get a PDF transcript with every single line that you can download and take off, you can find that if you become a member using the link in the description below. This episode is also part of our study pack, which has bonus exercises, worksheets, and listening activities. You can also find that in our store. So, like we promised, we'll go back to the start of our script and we'll go through them, highlight the best phrases and expressions about gadgets. If there are any differences between American and British English, we've got these handy little flags, which we may use. Today, we might not use it so often, but we'll see.
I didn't see too many, but there might be a couple of differences. Yeah.
Yes, right. Sometimes we surprise each other. But back to the beginning, Kat. Do you have a lot of gadgets?
Oh, definitely. I have tons of little gadgets at my house. Some of my favorites, well, of course, my smartwatch is probably my most used gadget. So I like the word gadget, okay? I have tons of little gadgets. I have tons of little gadgets at my house. Now, a gadget, I especially think of little things. I mean, we've got a remote control. I've got my headphones and my little charger that go with my headphones. I mean, I've got tons of little gadgets just sitting on my desk, right? So this is a good word that I don't think a lot of our students use very often. You hear technology and you hear kind of machinery, but when we're just talking about little pieces of technology, these are gadgets. So I have tons of little gadgets at my house. Some of my favorites, oh, well, of course, my smartwatch. Now, I do want to mention that I'm wondering if in the future this idea of a smartwatch will actually be just a watch in the future, because a lot of students call this a smartphone. Well, this technically is a smartphone. We don't really call it a smartphone anymore in English. We just call it a phone, right? This is my phone.
Yes.
But I remember 15 years ago, or even 20 years ago now, when these started coming out, and it really was a smartphone. It wasn't just a regular phone. So I wonder if it's the same thing. These watches, I wonder if kind of the old-fashioned watch that spins around is going to be so old-fashioned that these will be called watches, and the other ones will just be the old-fashioned watch or an old-fashioned phone. So I kind of wonder if that's going to be changing in the future. But for now, if you do have kind of what are they called? An Apple Watch, or you have another
Yes.
brand of some sort, it's a smartwatch. It's a smartwatch. So it's another little gadget, and it's probably my most used gadget. My most used gadget. So the one that I use all the time, the one that I use the most is probably my smartwatch. All right. So Mark, what about you? Do you have a lot of gadgets?
I wouldn't call myself tech savvy, but when I think about it, I do have quite a few gadgets around the house. So, as Kat said, a gadget is an electronic device. And for me, the main difference between a gadget and a device is that a gadget is very simple and it can often only do one thing or one main task. So, I guess this is a gadget. It's just a little adapter and that's all it does. And I've got my earbuds. I think these are a gadget because they only do one simple thing. They play music or play audio. So a computer is not a gadget because I think it can do a lot of different things. It's quite powerful these days. But then something small, maybe you could put in your pocket, or just a simple device, I think that is more like a gadget. So there's no gadgets in hospitals, for example. I had a student who was a nurse and she was talking about gadgets, and I felt like the equipment that they're using to save people's lives is slightly more powerful and important than gadgets. So if they were talking about little convenient things, I think that's what makes it a gadget. It's not saving your life. It's just making your life a little bit easier. Anyway, in my script, I said I wouldn't call myself tech savvy. And a tech savvy person is very good with technology. They can take something new and they know how to use it. They can just pick it up and make it work. I wouldn't call myself tech savvy, as in I'm not very good. I often need to read the instructions or the manual before I can figure it out. But when I think about it, I do have quite a few gadgets around the house. I think I've said this in a few other episodes as well. Maybe it's a British thing that when I say two opposing things or two contrasting things, I wouldn't call myself tech savvy, but I do have quite a few gadgets. I use an extra word to highlight that contrast. I do have quite a few gadgets. So I might say I don't like video games, but I do have a PlayStation. So that's the opposite. Or I don't watch much TV, but I'll tell you what I did watch last week was this show. So we're using this extra word in here to make a contrast. And yeah, I do have quite a few gadgets around the house. So my first sentence is kind of contrasting. I'm not good with technology, but even so, I have quite a lot of gadgets. And I think that's the same for quite a lot of people. So your first gadget you mentioned was your smartwatch. What do you like about it?
It's actually synced with my phone, so I can check messages, track my fitness, and even control playlists or respond to messages without having to grab my phone. So when I say that something is synced or linked with, okay? So if you sync something or link something, they're connected, right? So if I go to the app and I check it out, I have an app, right, that I can use the Bluetooth in here, the Bluetooth in here, and they can basically talk to each other, right? So it is synced. Synced. Yes, it sounds like the kitchen sink, but it's spelled Sync. So it's synced with my phone, so I can check notifications, I can track my fitness, and I can control playlists and respond to messages. So let's start with notifications. A notification is when you pick up your phone and there's a little message. Maybe it's a message from an app, maybe it's an email, maybe you bought something, you sold something, and you get a little notification. It's a little message on your phone. Well, I can check notifications on my phone and I can check it on my smartwatch. So that makes it nice and easy. I don't have to have my phone with me all the time. I just have a little device, a little easy, simple gadget on my wrist here. I can also track my fitness. Track my fitness. When you track something, you follow it, okay? And we often use this together in this phrase, track my fitness. And what I mean by that is my walking, my exercise, my running, my Pilates class, my yoga class. So I can track my fitness, or I can follow and have it write down all the things that I do. So I can track my fitness, and I can even control playlists or respond to messages without having to grab my phone. So when I get that notification, I can click the notification, reply, yes, no, do something simple, something easy, and I can control playlists. So if I want to play some music, I can go forward, I can go back, I can skip the song, I can change the song, I can turn it off. So I can control playlists or respond to messages without having to grab my phone. We're using the word having here without needing to. Without needing to grab my phone, without having to grab my phone. So I'm actually using this in a way that, oh, I need my phone to respond to messages. I have to have my phone to control the playlist. Nope. I can do all these things without having to grab my phone. So hands-free, right? So what about you, Mark? What's kind of your favorite gadget in your house?
The first gadget is I recently caved in and got myself a tablet. And now it's become my go-to device for just about everything. Emails, work, videos, messaging too. I'm really happy with it. So the gadget, a tablet. A tablet is like a smartphone, but just a little bit bigger. Think of an iPad. That's the most popular tablet. Most people just call any tablet an iPad. But
It's true.
if it's not, yeah, right. If it's not the Apple brand, it's made by Asus or Acer or someone else, then it is a tablet or even just a tab. But yeah, that kind of large screen that you can touch with apps is a tablet. And I recently caved in and got myself one.
No, you got yourself one, didn't you?
Yeah, so you often see these cool, exciting new gadgets on TV, in advertisements everywhere. And, ooh, they look cool. They're
Yeah, gotta
tempting.
have them.
I'm thinking about it. You look at the price and you think, okay, that is expensive. Tablets, for example, can be quite pricey. So I looked and I thought about it for a few days or weeks, and I caved in. I said, okay, go on then. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to spend the money. I know it's expensive, and I couldn't resist anymore. So I recently caved in and got myself a tablet. I don't know if this is more British English, but I got myself something, right? This means this is my tablet, right? I know that other people can use it and you can have different accounts and profiles, but I got myself a tablet. So I want to use it for me. It's going to be my apps, my shows, my work. I got myself one. So if you buy something and it's for me only, you can say, I got myself a tablet. You might also hear, I bought myself a tablet. Oh yes, I bought myself some new clothes. It's just for me. And yeah, it's become my go-to device. I'm using the present perfect because I have had my tablet for maybe a couple of weeks, months, and over time I got more and more familiar with it. I learned what it's capable of, and now it has become, and it still is now, my go-to device. It's the first device that I use more than my phone. So if I have messages, if I have emails, if there's work to do, I will choose my tablet first. It's my go-to device. It is the one I choose first because I find it the most helpful. And yeah, I use it for just about everything. This is a good phrase to know. It means everything, just about everything. I use my tablet for just about everything. If you're talking about a big supermarket, you might say, oh yeah, they sell just about everything, like bikes and clothes. Or if you break one of your gadgets, you can take it to a shop because they fix just about everything. So it's a good phrase to know. You might hear native speakers use that a lot. Okay, Kat, back to your side. What other gadgets or technology do you have in your house?
This is a bit of a bigger machine. I wouldn't necessarily call it a gadget per se, but more like a big machine. But I also have a walking pad, which is like a compact treadmill that fits under my desk. It's honestly changed my life, especially when I'm working from home. Okay, so we have been talking about gadgets, right? And gadgets are usually little electronic things. I really do think of little things. Like, even I consider my phone a gadget, especially if you want the newest phone, if you want kind of the newest technology on your phone. Now, this is an electronic machine. So, because it is electronic, it is connected to my phone, but it's so big, it's not something I can just hold in my hand, right? So this is more of a bigger machine, but I also have a walking pad. And this has kind of become quite popular, especially since COVID. It's like a compact treadmill. And a treadmill is something that if you go to the gym, you walk on a belt and you don't go anywhere. You just stay here, right? So that's a compact or smaller version of a treadmill, and it fits under my desk. So it's perfect for when I work from home. It's honestly changed my life, especially when I'm working from home. Now, I know a lot of people who might work outside, and they think, what are you talking about? You have a walking pad. But a lot of people that work at a desk and sit down all day long, this is absolutely changed my life. Okay, so now I have to stand up, and not only am I standing up, but I have a walking pad. So I'm actually physically walking sometimes. Not right now, but usually other times of the day. So it is connected to my phone. So it is synced up to my phone. So that kind of makes it a piece of technology as well. So what other tech items, machines, devices, gadgets, what other kind of stuff do you have at your house, Mark?
Also got some of those smart plugs hooked up to almost
Mm.
every room. Okay, so short sentence, but there's a lot in here. I think when you hear someone talking about technology, especially a native speaker, they might say, I've got some of those. Some of those
Those
smart
thingies,
plugs.
you know?
Yeah, right. Sometimes we don't know the official technical name for a gadget, but I know you've seen them before and you probably know what I'm talking about. And in that case, we'll say, yeah, some of those smart plugs.
Yeah.
So everyone calls them smart plugs, or when I'm talking about them, people say smart plugs. So again, maybe a salesperson or the official website will have a different name for them, but I call them and we call them smart plugs. So I've got some of those, smart plugs. This is the plural. So if it's a gadget with two parts, so you might say, I've got some of those, noise cancelling headphones, or we've got some of those air tags, or we've got some of those coffee pods. When you're referring to a gadget and you don't know the official name, some of those things.
I mean, those
Right.
things that,
Yeah.
those kind of, and then you can start describing whatever it is. If you don't know the official
Right.
word, that's okay. Not everybody has the official word for it anyway. So just start to describe it from there, right?
Right. So I've got some of those smart plugs. That's the gadget, smart plugs. So this is a plug. It connects to an outlet. A smart plug is something you can sync or connect with your phone. So then you can control it from your phone. And I've got some of those smart plugs hooked up to almost every room. So I have got them hooked. Simply, this means I connected them in every room. But I'm quite proud of this gadget, or I think this is a little bit impressive or quite cool. So I think I'd say I've got them hooked up to. Hook is the word for connect. And in the past, hooked, connected. I could say I've got them connected to the speakers. I've got them connected to the TV. But I can also say I've got them hooked up to the TV. I've got them hooked up to the speakers. So that's a phrase you might hear native speakers use much more often.
Mark is really hooked up at his house. Yeah.
Yeah, right. It is all hooked up. Like
It's
everything
all
is
hooked up.
connected.
I know,
Exactly.
because yeah, if I said, Mark is fully connected, well, that sounds a little bit more serious, but I mean, no, I mean, Mark is really hooked up. He's got gadgets in every single house, every single room in the house is hooked up. It really does sound like, I think it comes from Mark, like those old stereos where you had to have about 100 different wires to go from one thing to the other. Now things are just Bluetooth, right? But I think we still use that phrase because it was always so impressive when your friend had the big TV setup with the speakers and the DVD player and the CD player, and everything was all hooked up, right? Everything was all hooked up. So
Right.
I think that's kind of where it comes from.
Okay, so back to your walking pad, your little treadmill. What else does it do, or what do you use it for?
So I can walk when I'm doing admin or while watching a show, which makes me feel more productive and helps me hit my daily step goal that I can track using my smartwatch. Okay, so I've got this walking pad, right? And I'm doing just what Mark said. I've got this walking pad, right? It's kind of just a way to introduce it. Yeah, so I've got this this thing that does this thing. So I've got this walking pad, right? And I can walk when I'm doing admin. So when you're doing admin, now I probably wouldn't use this walking pad while I'm teaching or while I'm in a meeting or something, because it would be a little weird if my head was just bobbing back and forth while I'm walking on this walking pad. But I can walk when I'm doing admin. So this is kind of a phrase that a lot of people use when they're kind of just doing paperwork or they're doing silent tasks. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not on the phone with anybody. I'm not on video. I'm just doing my tasks, right? So we call this doing admin, just kind of doing admin. So I'm typing out a paper. I'm, grading some students' papers. I'm checking my bank account statement. I'm doing whatever. This is called doing admin. Or I do it while I'm watching a show for fun. So, which makes me feel more productive. All right. So, as an American, I think our number one goal in life is to feel productive. And when you feel productive, it just means that you are working at something or working towards something. We don't always like to feel very lazy. We like to feel like we're working and doing things. So why not do two things in one? This makes me feel more productive and helps me hit my daily step goal. All right, now this is kind of more fitness related, but we've got lots of fitness gadgets out there. And I want to hit my daily step goal. Now, my daily steps are how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So each time I take a step, we count it. So my daily step goal is, say, 10,000 steps per day. So I want to hit that goal that I track using my smartwatch. All right. So when I'm tracking something, remember, I can track my fitness. I can track my steps, which means I'm following the number of steps. And when I check my phone later, I can say, oh, I tracked my steps yesterday. I did 10,420 steps. Oh, I'm tracking my steps right now. I have 4,000 steps. All right. So I'm following it and I'm writing it down. So I'm tracking it using my smartwatch. I love this walking pad. Honestly, it's the coolest thing
Right.
ever.
It's two birds with one stone, right?
It
You can
really is.
exercise and work at the same
I just
time.
love it. I just love it. So, all right. So, Mark, what about you? What is your little gadget do?
The smart plugs, when you pair them with the app, it's amazing what you can do. I've got it set up so the lights come on just as I come home and the kettle starts boiling when I wake up. It's a game changer. One of those things you don't know how you ever lived without.
You know, you're an
So,
adult when these things are very, very exciting for you. Right? I'm
oh,
I'm
yes.
loving it. I love smart plugs. Those are so cool.
Yeah, these smart plugs are great. Earlier, you said sync. And yeah, when
Yes.
you connect a device with your phone, you sync them. I used a different word with the same meaning when you pair them. That's
Mm-hmm.
P-A-I-R, pair as in two. There may be a button when you download the app for the device and it says pair. If you click that one, the app and the gadget will connect and they can talk to each other. So when you pair them with the app, it's amazing what you can do. In my previous line, I said, I've got them hooked up to every room. That means that I just have them connected. The plug is in the outlet. This phrase is different. I've got it set up. So set up means I went into the app and I looked at the different settings and the different options and I controlled or changed what I want the gadget to do more specifically. So I've got it set up. So I made a schedule and I connected some devices and I spent a bit of time. So now the lights come on just as I come home. As in, when I arrive home, the lights come on at the same time. Brilliant. And another one, when I wake up, I've got it paired with my alarm. So when my alarm goes off, the kettle in the kitchen starts boiling water so I can
Oh,
make
that's
coffee
cool.
or tea.
That's
Right.
really cool.
So
Yeah.
I've got it set up. So I went in and I changed the settings. So I've got it hooked up, just means connected. I've got it set up, sounds like it's more precise, it's more detail.
Controlling for sure.
Yeah, I've done a lot more control. And it's a game changer. A game changer, that's one word. It's something that has totally transformed the way I live. It has changed everything. I don't know why we say the word game, but it's a game changer, a big change. It's made a really big difference to how I live. It's one of those things you don't know how you ever lived without. I try to remember my life before smart plugs, and it sounds difficult and inconvenient and time consuming. So I lived without it. And the phrase, I don't know how I lived without it. So I lived without it's in the past tense, but I don't know how is in the present. I don't know how I lived without it. I don't want to go back. Don't take my smart plugs. Okay.
I know.
Back to
It
you,
it
Ken.
seems
Oh, yeah,
like a lot of these things we buy because we think they look cool, right? Oh, smart plugs. That's a cool idea. Or even just, oh, how convenient. Sometimes you just buy things because they just kind of sound fun. But then after you get everything set up perfectly, yeah, how could you ever live without it? How could you ever live
yeah.
without it?
Can't go back.
Can't go back.
All right. So you've mentioned the smartwatch and the walking pad. Do you have any other gadgets?
Okay, so I made fun of this little gadget when my friends started buying these years ago. So then there's my Alexa speaker. Honestly, it was weird at first talking to a gadget and giving it all these voice commands, but now I talk to it all the time to turn on the lights, play music, or set timers. So I'll be honest, I am a little embarrassed because I think talking to a machine is a little bit weird, but I'm over it now because I love this thing. So then there's my Alexa speaker. Now I know that I think the Alexa speaker is from Amazon, but there's lots of different ones. And this is basically what it is. It's a speaker, which means that you could play music and then the music will play nice and loud through this speaker. But you can talk to the speaker and you can give it voice commands, meaning you could say, Alexa, turn on the lights. And then your little speaker will listen to what you say and then it'll do it. It'll turn on the lights. So it was weird at first talking to a gadget, talking to a little speaker, but Now I talk to it all the time to turn on the lights, play music, or set timers. So, play music, that's fine. Turn on the lights, turn off the lights, that makes sense. Or to set a timer. I was surprised at how often I use this one. You can just say, Alexa, set a timer for 10 minutes. So, when I'm cooking, or when I need to finish a task, or when I need to do something in 10 minutes, the little timer will go off like a little alarm, like a little alarm. So I actually quite like the little thing. Now, you said, Mark, that you bought something during COVID that you quite liked.
Yes, during COVID, I also bought one of those automatic vacuums, and I used
Uh-huh.
that more than I thought I would. So yes, I think maybe it's just me, but maybe a lot of other people too bought a lot of stuff during COVID.
Yeah.
When we say during COVID, that's become the time when a lot of people were staying at home. You weren't
Mhm.
allowed to go outside, and maybe you were working from home or spending weeks or months just at home, and there was
Yeah.
nothing else to do. There's not a
Mm-mm.
lot to do but play games or buy stuff on the
Buy
internet.
stuff online.
Yeah, exactly. So I think during COVID, a lot of people bought certain devices. A lot of people bought exercise equipment, which now they don't use 3 or 4 years later.
Yeah.
And one thing I bought during COVID was one of those automatic vacuums. So we've already talked about this phrase. I got some of those smart
Hmm.
plugs and I got one of those automatic vacuums. I'm
Because
not sure.
I know about it. I
Right.
know it. I'm sure you've heard of it, right? One of those,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure you've heard of it, those things. And I
Hmm.
do immediately, right when you said it, I said, oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
know
Oh, yeah.
those. Oh,
One of
yeah,
those.
those.
Yeah. 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 I'm sure there's an official name on their website, but I
A
don't know what that is.
Roomba or
Right.
iRobot or whatever they're called, right?
Yes. Yeah. Roomba is a popular brand. Some people just call it a Roomba, but it often is in this shape and it's a smart vacuum. It will go around your floor, cleaning the floor, sweeping it up, sucking up dirt and dust, and then you can eventually pick it up and empty it into the bin. It's one of those automatic vacuums. Yeah, again, when it's one gadget, we'll say one of those smart TVs, one of those Nintendo Switches, or one of those coffee makers. We're talking
Hmm.
about one gadget, but use the plural. One of those TVs, one of those
You're
things,
right.
one of
You're
those
right.
coffee makers.
Hmm.
But yeah, and I use that more than I thought I would. So the grammar here, when I bought it, at the moment, I said, okay, an automatic vacuum. I think I will use it a bit. Then it arrived, I loved it, and I used it a lot. So talking about that in the past, I thought I would use it a bit. So it becomes, I use that now more than I thought I would when I bought it. So I use that more than I thought I would. Again, my gadgets have surprised me with how useful they are.
Okay. So you got yourself one of those little robot vacuum thingies. What do you think about it? I'm kind of thinking about getting one myself.
It's not perfect. It misses the odd corner, but it's really handy and it's probably saved me hours of hoovering.
Ah,
So I think I can finally wave my,
I can
yeah, there we
finally.
go. For hoovering,
Hmm.
I bought an automatic vacuum. A vacuum
So
is
you
the
do call
device.
it an automatic vacuum, not an automatic Hoover.
I could say in one of those robot hoover, one of those
Okay.
automatic
That feels weird though,
hoovers.
doesn't it? Okay.
Yeah, that's just doesn't sound right. So
Vacuum, definitely the American word. And then Hoover
yeah.
is a type of
Hmm.
vacuum, is a brand of vacuum in the
Correct.
United States, but you use the verb as well to hoover things
Mm,
up, and we don't use it like that.
exactly. Yep. So you can take out the hoover and I am hoovering the floor, or I hoovered it earlier. But the gadget itself, it's not perfect. Fine. A lot of these little devices, especially if they're a little bit cheaper or quite basic, they help a little bit, but it's not perfect, and that's still okay. It misses the odd corner, or it misses the occasional corner, but it's really handy. And I think this is a key word for gadgets. Hand. We buy these things because they help us save time, or they're very useful and convenient. That's handy. So a handy device, a handy little gadget, or someone might show you something and you go, oh, that's handy.
Handy.
Or if you don't have it, you're like, oh, it would be handy to have something like that.
Would be
So if it's
nice.
convenient,
Would be nice.
useful, that'd be handy. Okay. My mum has a specific kitchen utensil just for avocados, only to take out the little stone and the flesh. And she thinks it's really handy. She loves it. So all these handy little gadgets. It's probably saved me hours of hoovering. This is another useful structure. If it saves you time or it does a task that you don't like doing, it saved me hours of doing this. It saved me hours of cleaning. It saved me hours of organizing. Or it saved me ages of, sorting through my emails. That structure is very handy if you want to talk about your handy gadgets. Okay, your final thoughts, Kat, about all your gadgets in your house.
All of these things, like the walking pad and all these things, almost all of these things I started to use out of pure convenience, but now I can't imagine living without them. So this kind of means almost all of these things I started to use out of pure convenience. That means I saw the little gadget and I thought, well, that would be nice. That would be handy. That would be convenient. So out of pure convenience, right? That's the only reason I thought, I didn't have to have it. I didn't need it. I just kind of bought them because they looked kind of fun and I would just use it out of pure convenience. But now I can't imagine living without them. I think this is where I start to kind of roll out of control here, the next convenient thing. Well, what if this is the best new thing? Maybe my life will get even better, right? So I think I'm going to spiral out of control here, but I can't imagine living without some of these items. This smartwatch, my walking pad, my little Alexa. Well, to be honest, the Alexa speaker I could live without, but that's okay.
You'll have a gadget that puts your shirt on in the morning and then puts your shoes on.
If I could, I know. Yeah. But then this would be my cleaner butler, right? So,
yes, right.
Cleaner, butler, chef, robot.
Yeah.
We'll have a new class in 10 years talking about all the machines in our house. Not just gadgets, but proper robot machines going around, things like that.
Housemaid.
My mini robot, my chef robot. All right, excellent. What about some final thoughts for you, Mark?
Overall, I think I've got a nice range of nifty little gadgets. So overall, I've got a nice range, a wide range or a nice variety of nifty little gadgets. Again, last time I said handy, so it's useful and convenient. Nifty is also useful, but it also means that it's kind of cool.
It's cool.
It does something impressive to me or impressive to other people, like you push a button on your phone and all the lights turn down because you're watching a movie. Oh, how did you do that? That is kind of nifty. It's fun, it's cool, maybe a bit impressive as well. It's a nifty idea or a nifty little gadget.
Okay, so there you have it. Did you guys learn anything new in today's episode? We know, of course, as teachers, that repetition and reviewing is super important. So we're going to go over our list of vocabulary so you can kind of remember and have all of that vocabulary just in one place. So you can either focus on the vocabulary itself, or you can also focus on my American accent. So if you want to repeat after me, just hit pause after each word and practice after me. Gadgets. My most used gadget with my phone. Notifications. Track my fitness. Control playlists. Respond to messages. Hooked up apps. Keep me on track. A walking pad. Compact treadmill. Doing admin. Feel more productive. Hit my daily step goal. To track. An Alexa speaker. Voice commands. Turn on the lights. Play music. Set timers. Out of convenience. Can't live without them.
Okay, and here are the key phrases for mine. Again, you can focus on the vocabulary or my British accent. Tech savvy, gadgets, I caved in, a tablet, my go-to device. I've also got some of those smart plugs hooked up to almost every room. Pair them with the app. I've got it set up so the lights come on. A game changer. It's really handy.
Once again, the Season 3 High-Level Listening Study Pack is available right now. It has PDF worksheets for this episode, bonus listening activities, ad-free MP3 versions, and PDF transcripts of every single Season 3 episode. The link is in the description below in our High-Level Listening store. We really think that it'll help you get the most out of these episodes and take your English to the next level.
Yes, okay, so thank you for watching, everybody. Tell us about the gadgets in your home. What have you got? How do they help you? We read and we reply to every comment we get here on YouTube, so come along and practice with us. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you very soon for another episode here on High Level Listening.